And welcome back to the Bridget Mabandla Justice College here in the nation's capital, and of course here for day 28 of the Madlanga Commission. And just when you think it can't get any worse, we seem to find new depths to mine in terms of just the sheer infiltration, the corruption, and of course some of the nefarious deeds that we are hearing being laid here in evidence at the Madlanga Commission. So we've roped in right now Professor Jacob Mofokeng. He's an independent crime and security expert, as well as someone who's no stranger to us here on Morning Live, Ambassador Andy Mashaile, security strategist and retired Interpol Ambassador. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Prof, if I could start with you, just from a security systems perspective, if we look at what we've heard so far, and just the seriousness of this infiltration, what do you make of what we've heard so far?
Thank you, Sakina. It tells us that South Africa has become a playground where, it becomes a lab where everyone will test, their strategies in terms of undermining the rule of law. And it really paints a very bleak picture for us, who have thought that those that we have voted then will be able to establish a criminal justice system that is credible, that will be able to protect the interests of the country, where the NDP has promised that by 2030, ladies will walk, freely in the land. But we see the escalation of all kinds of crime. We're talking about gangsterism, the availability of firearms, and then we see that here at Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that how those that are in the echelon of the South African Police Service, then they have formed cohorts with criminals, and how they are in the pockets of criminals, and that indeed it just shows that we really need, more credible information so that we can be able to understand, the seriousness of the challenge. Remember, General Mkhwanazi did indicate that, the ecosystem of the criminal justice is at risk. So we need to be able to, get to the bottom of this road. It is not the first time that we heard stories such as this, and we're still going to hear more explosive. But what are we going to do with the explosives if then we cannot bring credible and long-lasting reforms? I cannot, agree that, some of our leaders, even the MPs, they are not sure or they are not aware of the road in the country. They are definitely aware of the road, but the question is, probably everyone was playing an ostrich. That the problems that we are having, they will just vanish, they will just go away. We have been sweeping the problems within the justice system, under the carpet. Now we can no longer, have the space for such, and hence we have an overflow of challenges in South Africa. Then the question will then be, where to from here? And if we have been recycling the solutions, now and then we hear, even yesterday, the acting minister of the police, he talked about a strategy to be able to address, gangsterism. Tomorrow we'll hear another strategist. Every now and then we are confronted with, promises that will never be tangible, that will never be implemented, because we just think that we just want to address the fears of the communities, and after that, nothing tangible will ever happen. We are good at talking, and the country is just, deteriorating with the road.
Ambassador Mashaile, this of course stretches way beyond, the internal, domestic perceptions of what is going on, because our are we perceived internationally when you hear such stories? And it's not stories anymore because there's evidence to corroborate what these witnesses are saying. So how are we perceived internationally, our reputation, when we hear of such infiltration into the criminal justice system?
SK, we are a laughingstock in the world. We are not taken serious, and we have continued to provide those who look down on us with more ammunition in terms of what we have seen coming out. Just yesterday, listening to Revo Spies talking about the modus operandi and how it's been taken down, and those who are benefiting, the lifestyles, many of these things that get to also serve as a recruitment for the supply lines of the criminals wearing the brown uniform as well as the blue uniform. Just before we got on air, we were talking about those in the blue uniform, those who have criminal convictions, those who are still wearing the uniform. What happens when they are to come to your place and you know that these people have been convicted and they are not incarcerated? These are some of the things that when we do our research, myself and the profs out there, you begin to have a sense that the leadership has been trying to deodorize garbage heap, and unfortunately we have run out of the perfume that has been used to be poured on the garbage heap. These things have come out and we have only one slingshot, and that is to ensure that the system is dismantled so that the relevant people who have the necessary integrity come into the situation so that we can reduce the trust deficit between the police and the communities. And actually, we live up to Chapter 12 of the National Development Plan that says by 2030, the people of this country should be feeling safe, and they should actually be safe.
2030 is less than 5 years away, so it doesn't seem, at least by looking at the objective facts before us, that we're going to get there. But then the question is, it is evident that the criminal element has embedded itself within our criminal justice system. Not too difficult, it seems, to do that. But what does that mean now? How do we rid ourselves of that? Ambassador Mashaile talks about bringing credible people in. How does bringing a few credible people into the system work? How is that going to change things if you have the criminal element embedded within that system?
Sakina, it is not going to be easy, because already those that are gatekeeping, those that are gatekeepers in many spheres, it's not only the justice system that has to be looked into, but so many spheres, of government in South Africa. There are individuals who incentivize, if you polish their shoes, and then if you are someone who is a yes person. And it will really be difficult in South Africa for us to be able to bring meaningful reforms, and consider those that have voted people into power. They are the ones that actually carry the power as well as the mandate. But they are so disempowered, the communities, the public of South Africa, they are disempowered. We still think that we cannot make decisions. They are the only people in parliament, but also those that are having strategic portfolios in different spheres of government. So it will really need all of us, South Africans. I often hear what, General Kelo also addressed, to say that maybe then this devolution of powers, it is something that we need to be careful of, because do we have capacity at the local, municipalities, at local and provincial governments? No. If you look at, the auditors' reports in terms of irregular expenditures as well as wasteful expenditures, you'll realize that, money is just going down the drain. Meaning what? Meaning that we have got systems that are corrupt, and we've got individuals that are occupying those positions that will reward people who will, you know, kill their conscience, sell their souls to the devil, and then it is important then as South Africans that we need to be able, you know, we are talking about ordinary people on the street to say what is it that we need to see, holding those that are leading into accountability.
But how do we fix it? Because we're now talking about the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. So if we say that the South African Police Service is perhaps, you know, way larger, here you have a local municipal force. How do we fix it?
One lifestyle audit, two a high flyer.
Have you heard about these lifestyle audits?
A high flyer program, Sakina. These programs have value. The people who are supposed to ensure that they check Sakina and Andy. Sakina and Andy are driving Paganis. It's a 52 million rent car. And where do you get the 52 million? Do you own it right clean? What do you sell? Fish and chips? How do you get that money? Your inability to explain when you are a law enforcement officer, especially that municipality, the inability to explain must go with the state taking over that car, selling that car. If you can't explain the origin of the funds, then it means one thing. In my line of SK, if I were to push that process, I have no doubt I would have taken those cars, I would have gone and sold the houses that we have seen.
Why is it not happening then?
Because people are benefiting in the process. The higher-ups, like they say. The higher-ups are benefiting by using those of us who are ordinary constables and actually providing them with intelligence, providing them with information, making sure that their kids get the M4s and the Harley Davidson. So this higher up will never deal with me because he gets a Harley Davidson for the boy or for the young one, so that they can drive around and live a luxurious lifestyle.
So the question remains: how do we fix it? How? Because the lifestyle audits we hear, they've been, requested, they are done, but then we don't hear anything. So where do we start fixing?
I am here. I've seen my namesake Andy Mashaile taking people's cars and taking people's assets. I hope the court cases and the court matters stand and people lose those properties. It will begin to instill a sense of, yes, I must not do this.
The lifestyle audits, if we're looking at municipal level, and this doesn't only speak to the law enforcement entities, it speaks to the entire ecosystem. At municipal level, you can go to any municipality in this country where people, you can look and say, but if you're a clerk, how are you able to afford all of these things on a municipal salary? Prof, we've got 30 seconds.
Sakina, as I want to reiterate what I said, that maybe now it's time that communities should stand up and say we want to address and we want to redress the wrongs that we trusted. We gave responsibilities for individuals who keep on being corrupted and who rewards their own cronies. I think it's now time for the public to stand and say what kind of a country do they want.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. And thanks so much to our guests, Prof. Mofokeng and Ambassador Mashaile, talking to us here about, some of the revelations here at the Madlanga Commission. And of course, more in terms of what this means systemically, the infiltration and how that actually manifests. But of course, we'll leave it there for now, and more coming to you here from the Madlanga Commission with Kenny Mapanga as well. It's 8 o'clock, time for news.